Welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me. It's February 12th, 2025, and it is Wednesday, which means that it is also Discord discussion day. If you would like to join us, just ask me for a link to join. I'll get you invited into the group. I used to post a link, but it appears that YouTube likes to remove these. So just either leave a request in the comments or you can also email me. I'd be happy to get you one and have you in there so we can have our discussion time. It starts 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time after Greg's Live. So please join us there. We always have some pretty good discussions. So let's get started this morning, of course, with a favorite risk indicator to start with. The MMRI sitting at 304 didn't move much since yesterday, so quite flat. The markets are generally waiting for the CPI report to come out today. Yesterday, Powell started testimony in front of Congress. Today, he will continue to testify in front of Congress, so we'll see more of that. Now, the fear group meters in neutral territory, showing kind of a balance in the inflow outflow of retail investors, if you will, in the markets. Now, kind of waiting for the CPI number. I almost chose to wait on this because it is prior to the market open, expected 8:30 in the morning New York time. And really, I expect that it's not going to be much off from what they do expect. What does it mean? A whole lot of nothing. That sounds quite political, and really it is. So this is an adjusted number for the inflation. We know inflation will continue. So if it's off their targets a bit, it's not really going to move markets very much. What we're really looking for is the guidance forward from Jerome Powell. So any talk about cuts moving forward or easing up the money would relaunch on the notion of easy money, because that is what the markets are actually moving on, not necessarily production. So with this, he has spoken about tackling inflation and that the economy remains strong and that the labor market is strong. So his view is different than mine. I see labor market weakening going into this year forward, but we only have lagging numbers to go on, or we can look at both the means of either Warren Tracker or look at what businesses are doing forward. And that's what we're trying to do, rather than relying on numbers that they pull that are lagging numbers. So Powell is saying the economy is strong, moving forward, and this is kind of pressuring markets a slight bit into the red. So we've got the 10-year yield above 4.54. It's actually a bit erratic, if not holding steady in the same levels, chopping around in a range but not making a significant move. So the US dollar has weakened a slight bit. It's below the 108 level finally, and this is only relative strength. So this means it has been a currency wrecking ball. I speak about this. If you're new here, all it means is that it's driving money from other markets into the United States market on its strength. Now, this morning we're watching that kind of wash out a bit as that dollar does lose a little bit of relative strength. More money flowing back into European markets as we'll watch it. So cryptocurrencies are right now staying level, right about that 96,000 level for Bitcoin. No major movement there. So pretty much headline driven for specific stocks is what we're seeing in the markets, watching tariffs going forward. Currently, steel is the target, steel and aluminum. The volatility index, while this is showing slightly down, really is quite level. Watching the NASDAQ and the others again, watching for the CPI reports, although I don't expect anything market moving now. Crude oil is the largest mover, and this is because the stated supply that the United States has is strong, meaning they've got plenty of oil, so lower demand, and that is dropping the price of crude. So, going into the calendar this morning, we're looking at Consumer Price Index CPI, the large possible mover prior to market open, listening to Jerome Powell. And then again, we are getting more Federal Reserve speakers on coming out. They will manage the market if needed. Thursday, we're getting initial jobless claims. Now, this one I think has more weight since they're talking about such a strong labor market holding their decisions. So after this, you get core PPI. This is for producers. So this is kind of a looking forward on inflation, if you will. Now, I expect core PPI probably to be rising a little bit more than the CPI we're going to see this morning, but that remains to be seen. Their numbers also are not the most reliable. However, we watch them because that is what the decisions are made from. Now, looking at earnings this morning, I wanted to bring up a couple are in the news, namely Robinhood. We've got over here the director in the insider trading has sold $5 million in options ahead of the earnings. So that's a little bit concerning if I was invested in this stock. We've also got Cisco and a few others coming out. Want to bring up Meta. They are looking at acquiring a Korean artificial intelligence chip startup founded by former Samsung and AMD engineers. Now, this would definitely lend strength to Meta because if they can produce their own chips, that would put them outside of all of these trade wars and agreements. It would put them also in much more control of this very positive for Meta in the long term going forward if they do indeed do this. We've got SMCI is also in the news. They've got their reports. They jumped nearly 7% up this morning after the company said that it is going to meet their SEC filing deadline. Now, there was a bit of drama with this company not long ago saying that they had corruption is what they were accused of. They went under an investigation, but it found out that there was no corruption that they could uncover. So, watching this stock definitely this morning if you're trading. Over to banks. United States Bancorp counting on payments split to drive revenue growth. Now, I'm bringing this up not specifically for this particular bank, but the story here is in payments. Now, payment systems are what they are looking at to drive their revenue. And it says right here that deal making will take a backseat to organic growth for the time being because they are looking at these payment systems and the growth for their revenue forward, not so much the model on the loans or anything else going on. So, very interesting shift with banks. And as I was saying before, a quarter of banks are expecting merger and acquisition deals in 2025. That's a massive number. And as I was saying, the trends for this year would be mergers, acquisitions, and also closures of the smaller banks. Now, the mega banks will continue to go on. They're going to shift their payment systems, go into cryptocurrencies. So, speaking of cryptocurrencies, we've got $2.5 million in Bitcoin left on cryptocurrency exchanges, signaling a supply shock. $2.5 million of Bitcoin is really nothing compared to the demand. It is a drop in the bucket considering a lot of states want to move forward with their Bitcoin reserves. And we'll see a few other things, as in this Tokyo listed gaming studio just acquired $1 billion in yen worth of Bitcoin. So multiple companies growing interest, multiple states governance growing interest, and only $2.5 million available on the exchanges. So this reserve does represent 3-year low. If this supply shock hits, it could cause what we call a squeeze, and that price would shoot up. So if you are looking at shorting Bitcoin, I urge tremendous caution not to do it naked, as we say. Just be very cautious with this. Now, we also had something else that Fed Chair Powell spoke about that I want to kind of bring up. He says he's not going to launch a digital dollar. What he means is he's not going to launch a new digital dollar because the current digital dollar is the US dollar is already digital. They're just going to shift this. Now, the amount of US dollars in actual print is less than 10%. So since there's less than 10% physical US dollars, what do you call the remaining 90%? I would ask him that question. Now, I try not to be too critical of others' work. However, this article headline came out, it's in Cointelegraph, and they're talking about how to use cryptocurrency for peer-to-peer car rentals. Now, I will give this article an F minus if possible, if I was grading this. Not to be too harsh, but their very headline, they never speak about actual car rentals. They never talk about how you actually do it, and they barely mention peer-to-peer cryptocurrency. So definitely downgrading this. They never mention a company. But the only good takeaway from this is that cryptocurrency use peer-to-peer for any transactions should increase. There is a way to do this. They did mention a couple of useful things, but very little. However, the takeaway from this is that the drive to go peer-to-peer, as opposed to going through an institution, a bank, or an exchange, is really the way to drive forward. And I'm going to start talking about this more because I think it really needs to be put out there, and not just put out there, but definitely highlighted, because I think this is probably one of the more important things moving forward to get outside of these crushing structural government things that are coming after us as consumers. Off the radar story. This is Oculus founder trying to help troops, meaning the United States military and probably others, surpass the limits of human form. This is indirect words of theirs. Now, the company was Anduril, founded by Oculus Rift creator Palmer Luckey. Now, Anduril is also a drone company. So they are taking over the Army's $22 billion program, $22 billion program to create augmented reality headset, better than Meta. Turning soldiers into superheroes is a direct quote. He's writing that this will allow troops to surpass the limits of human form and cognition, seamlessly teaming enhanced humans with large packs of robotic and biologic teammates. This is transhumanism. This is a large move here. And I want to bring this up because this is what we're going to see moving forward. And really what I am going to urge some caution. We can talk about this tonight if you would like and join us. Couple of last things. We've got some geopolitical things moving forward, which are really, really going to have a ripple effect down the road. The first one is EU states leader asking Musk to reveal the scale of the USAID interference, quote unquote, into foreign politics. Now, this in particular, Slovakia's head of their government, seeking full disclosure of United States funding into the organizations that were attempting to undermine his government. Also, Hungary's leader Orbán is also asking for this disclosure. So this could cause some serious ripples as well as backlash if individuals are named. So leave that there for the moment. We also had discussions about Gaza and the Palestinian groups. Again, King Jordan offering to take in thousands of the children, a couple of thousand, I believe, was the numbers, in a sign of openness to a new plan to help some of these people. Could be a really good thing. We'll see how this moves. Shifting forward, there are deadlines happening this weekend, and we will also discuss that this evening. Do hope to see you there. And until I see you again, my friends, have a wonderful day and stay free.